Dear participants, as I'm considering that you are attending the inter-audit training program, you are aware about the standards. What I guess that all you are from directly from technical position in the lab. You are technologist or technicians, whatever you are calling yourself. You are technologist. So technologist basically the involved in the technical requirements. So I am not uh, discussing about the management requirement. I'll discuss on the technical requirement in your, I mean the laboratory, taking the technical section, what you look at and look for. So I'll explain you one by one. Um, See, in the ISO 15189, it is written like it is written in a language like a constitution language. It is not like a checklist forms. Huh? You must have seen that it is a like a constitutional language, and there are many words. There are many meanings of the many various words. So what I did that from my practical experience in the last 25 years in this field, how the standard is written and what the interpretations done by the auditor. So based on that, I have given some example like may. If you find if you see that word may in the written standard, you consider that is must. I mean the cab has to do that, must shall. If you find the word evidence, it means always speaking about the record. Evidence is always record. Process means a flow chart. If you find a word in the process, it means it's talking about the flow chart. Program means documented plan, like calibration program, quality control program. It means it's talking about the you should have documented plan for that. Procedure means compulsory documentation. Recorded or record compulsory direct evidence. Documented subjective evidence or document and record. Monitored inspection review record. Maintained direct or indirect evidence of the maintain direct or indirect evidence of maintenance or document work instruction or record. Shall have must and subjective evidence on the documentation and necessary objective evidence. Explained record or objective evidence. It is nothing but this terminology basically I have given so that you can interpret the word. These are the words are there. It means where document, where record is required so that you can understand. So when you go through the standards, you can use this terminology for interpretation. Now, what I told you in earlier that when you will do audit, in the audit you will have the specified requirement in your hand. Specified requirement means external specified requirement, external document. What are the external documents? This audit. One is the ISO 151 standard that should be within your hand. One checklist within your hand, and Singapore Accreditation Council guideline. Check. Singapore Accreditation Council, they have published the three documents, two major documents. One is the guideline for the medical laboratory and guideline for the imaging centers. Like I hope all you are aware that Singapore Accreditation Council guidelines requirement that is very easily understandable. I have given some examples in my presentations, but if you can go through line by line, what are the Singapore Accreditation Council guideline, it will be clear, very much clear. They have not written in the constitutional language. They have written very state card reply. You should have this. This is the calibration frequency. This is the quality control frequency. This is the machine. How you will do the calibration? How will store? how much time you how long you store. So they are given the requirement which is for to interpret those you don't require any faculty. Singapore Accreditation Council guideline, if you read, it is very legible and very understandable language is written. Anyone can understand that what does it mean. Which you need the standards. Standards interpretation is very much required. How the standard can be converted in the clause, clause can be converted in the question. So first, you see this presentation, this PowerPoint presentation, which I am going to share with you, that is basically I have written in such a language that is basically explanation of the standards with some examples. And after this, I will explain you the one by one in the checklist forms. First is your first word you should know that you see that for ISO 15189 we are speaking about the terminology that accreditation, isn't it? For ISO 9000 what we are talking certification. We are not talking accreditation. But for ISO 15189 we are talking this is accreditation. So what does it mean? What is the meaning of accreditation? Can anyone say why it is accreditation? Any participant? Can you share that what does it mean, the accreditation word? What does it mean? Accreditation. What does it mean? Okay, I'll tell you. Accreditation means it speaks about the technical competence. Technical competence. Technical competence means man, machine, materials, process, and quality control. Man, machine, materials, process, and quality control. So this is the competence requirement. A laboratory is accredited means a laboratory or imaging center is technically competent to carry out the test. A laboratory or imaging center is a technically competent to carry out the test. But in certification like ISO 9000, they are talking about the system. That is, you are complying the systems. They are not emphasizing on the technical competence area. But in the accreditation process, auditors what they look for, they are your technical competence. So in the technical competence, man, the first clause is the personnel. 5.1 personnel is the first clause of the technical requirement. So in the what is the coming 5. So what when you are visiting a lab, what you look? First thing is that the persons who are working in the lab or cab and the imaging facilities. As I told you that I use the word cab, my lab and imaging centers both will be called as a cab, conformity assessment bodies. Cab. So when you visit a cab first thing that first you have to verify that the competence of the manpower, that the this cab whether they have the competent manpower or not. What will look? Then you have to find out what is the specified requirement or the manpower, where it is mentioned. Singapore Accreditation Council Guide, SAC MI 001. This is a document number. Imaging Accreditation Reference Number, SAC MI 001. If you go through it, they have clearly mentioned that what will be the qualification criteria for the persons. Personal qualification will be as per Singapore Accreditation Council requirement for imaging accreditation. This is first. So we'll verify what we'll do. So can you show your can you show your personal qualification files? So you'll ask for the first thing is you'll ask for the biodata files. Biodata files, and there we can match it there whether these persons were qualifying with the Singapore Accreditation Council or not. So this is the first observations, and this observation you have to note down the format I've shown you in the intern audit recording sheet, that you'll observe the you have checked these are the persons, technician or technologist show and show they are complying with the as referred in the SAC MI 001. So this what is the guideline written? Examination shall be performed by a medical practitioner, specialist registered with the Singapore Medical Council. This is what is written. Singapore Medical Council as a specialist in the field of diagnostic radiology as required in the private hospital and medical clinic PHMC Act in the practice office or specialty who is available to monitor and influence the conduct and diagnostic quality of the examination. The medical specialist shall be certified with the Specialist Accreditation Board SAB of the Ministry of Health in addition to the qualification as defined in the PHMC Act. So this is very simple. The Singapore Medical Council guideline PDFs that show from the Singapore Medical Council guidelines, you are verifying their qualification criteria. Next, once you have verified their qualification criteria, qualifications, next what you look for? Job descriptions. Job description means the laboratory MI CAB shall have job description that describes the responsibilities, authority as per all personnel. You can ask the job descriptions for each positions that you can verify that what is the job descriptions, and you can interview the people that exactly what the work they are performing and what is written in the job description. So both you can compare. You can interview the staff about the job description and you check with the documents, so we can verify the compliance. Next, come to the personal introduction to organizations. What is the requirement? Requirement is the laboratory MI CAB shall have a program induction training to introduce new staff to the organization. Every person should go for an induction training program. What will do that what is the induction training manual? You can ask for it. Whom you can audit. This audit will be done, basically personal audit will be done in your HR section. If the CAB have the HR department, you can call the HR departments or you can visit the HR department. So only I hope that they can show you. Or if you find that there is no HR department, it's a very small lab, very small CAB facilities, they do not have any HR. So who is looking after recruitment? It may be the director may be looking directly. It may be happen, or lab director maybe. It may be lab director looking after. So you will call the interview those persons who are directly involved in the HR functions. So they can bring all the personal file of the staffs, and then you can ask what is the induction training policy. What is the induction training policy? They will speak. This is my induction trainings. We conduct the training. These are the subject covered. Then what you have to look at that ISO 15189. There is a requirement that what should be minimum requirement for the induction trainings. This is the minimum requirement. The department or area in which person will work. It means induction training will cover the department or area in which person will work, the terms and conditions of employment, staff facilities, health and safety requirement, the quality management systems, assigned work process and procedures, the applicable laboratory or MI CAB information system, health and safety, ethics, confidentiality of the patient information, personnel that are undergoing training shall be supervised at all times. So this 5.14, this is a part of the induction trainings. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet. So what to do? You have to ask the questions that about what are the facilities they are enjoying, what are the terms and conditions of the employment, whether that you can ask that whether the induction training, what are the subject they have covered. Then your audit will speak about these are the things is covered in my employment during the induction training. Then you can ask from the induction manual that whether really they are aware about the terms and employment, the benefits they are enjoying. So these are the questions you can ask them. So from there you can understand that their personal induction training is covered well. This is well. Next is the training. Training is basically, so one is, as per 1518, the two part. One is induction training and is general training. General training is this A to G, the quality management system, assigned work process and procedures, applicable laboratory and MI CAB information systems, health and safety, ethics, confidentiality of patient information, personnel that are undergoing training, all. So what you can do that you can the both the way you can do the audit. One is you can take an interview first. You take the interview. When you can choose the persons, basically you can from the CAB you can choose a person. The person can be junior, person can be senior, person can be supervisor, person can be lab director, can be. You can conduct a series of interview of the staffs. Maybe one junior person, maybe one lab supervisor, maybe one lab director. The 2-3 person you can take a sample, and you can start auditing. You can ask them that what are the trainings they are covered other than induction training. Other induction training, what are the training they are covered? So when when you're asking them that what the training has covered, then they will came to know that whether they are speaking the just a terminology of the training or really they know. Like the coordination systems, if you are asking the question that yes, I have been trained on the ISO 15189, if your audit say, then if you can ask some questions on the ISO 15189, they said, can you explain me that what is the ISO 15189? What are the clauses that you are working in the lab or you are working in imaging? What are the clauses applicable for you? So if you ask one question, then you can understand that whether these persons have been trained on the ISO 15189 or not. See, it may be as maybe the persons are daily working in the technical process, may not be able to give you a very good answer that this is the clause number like that, but at least they can say yes, we have been trained on the requirement of the personnel, we have been trained on the accommodation condition, we have trained on the machine calibration, we have been trained in the maintenance, we have been trained in the quality control. At least then you can get an idea, yes, they were trained, maybe they are not able to correlate with the clauses. That is not much important. They will speak you the clause number directly, and in that case you can understand whether they need the further training or training is adequate. But do not be very specific, because you have to make it very audit should be in such a way, very friendly manner. If you ask that the person what is the 5.1.5, what is the 5.2.3, then it is not practicable. Because those who are doing the testings regularly or imaging radiology, it is not their job to know exactly what is the 5.2.3 or what a 5.4.1, 5.4.2. It may be that the person who is directly responsible for quality manager, even he or she cannot deploy properly. So we have basic intention is that the knowledge of the quality management system is important or not. That you need to verify whether he or she needs a specific requirement or not. So that you have to understand clearly that whether this is covered or not, whether they are accountants with the process, with the 15189 or not. So these are quality management systems. Assigned work process and procedures. You can verify how they are working, how they are trained. Assigned work process and procedures may be the lot of work they are involved. I mean, it may be the person is involved in sample processing. Maybe say his job is a sample collection and sample centrifugations. So you can ask for a demo of any sample centrifugation. If you found that the person is able to do a good centrifugations, can separate the serum, yes, he has been trained for that. Then applicable laboratory MI CAB information system, whether the person is really know the software. I mean, maybe in the laboratory have a good LIS or MIS is there. So how much the LIS MIS he knows. For example, you can ask them what is the responsibility. In the responsibility, whether he knows what is the limitations, what what kind of information he or she can keep in the computers. Next, you can ask the health and safety requirements. Health and safety requirements, is part of the that you can observe. It is not a question. This is basically how you can observe that how the PPE they are wearing the PPE. What the PPE they are using in the lab or imaging center. Like a radiology technicians, whether when taking the imaging shot, whether he is wearing a lead apron or not. A technologist in the laboratory, whether wearing the PPE and hand gloves or not, working in the histopathology, wearing the or chemical pathology, wearing a glass or not. So these are the things. It will be clear. The training is implemented, whether from the use of PPE, with the use of PPE, we can understand that they are trained. They are trained on that. So you can consider that they know that health and safety requirements. Even you can ask them health and safety requirement. Also, it is coming in the question how sample disposals, how they come to the sample spillage. In case of spillage is happened, what they will do. You can even what you can do. You can normally you can take a blood sample and you can drop the blood sample in the floor. You can drop in the blood sample in the floor, and you'll find that how they are wiping the blood samples. How they're wiping. So this will give a clear idea that they know that how to handle the biomedical waste. So whether they are trained in the handling of biomedical waste or not, maybe that kind of demo is called a drill. It's called a drill. If you can drop the any kind of biomedical waste in the floor, and if you ask them that please take the actions, let's see that how they're reacting, how they're working. From there you can understand that how much they are trained, and others you can see their prophylaxis. You can ask the vaccination record. You can see the prophylaxis procedures. Needle stick injury is one of the area. You can see that particularly in the phlebotomy room, how the sample is collected, or maybe a technologist in the radiation in the radiology, how the contrast is given, how the contrast is given to the patient. So this from this part, that how they destroy the needle, that you can get an idea that whether they know whether they are able to manage the needle stick injury or not, whether they are burning the needle or they are without burning they're disposing. What is the CDC guideline and what they're following. So this can be the good idea to check their safety requirements. Even you can ask that in case of any splash of chemical on the skin, splash of chemical on the eye, how they'll take actions. You can watch that whether they have any bath shower or not. Safety shower is available in the laboratory or not. Now you can ask a technologist, please can you give a demo how to operate the shower. So if from demo also it will be clear that they were trained on the use of safety shower. Okay, then the ethics. Now you get this ethics. See, ethics directly, but you cannot get any directly evidence. Ethics basically you have to verify some questions. What are the ethics they are following? This is you can ask them. If they can say that what kind of confidentiality information they're maintaining, what are the salary pack, how whether they are given any incentive or not, whether in case it may be happened sometime the insurance company maybe a technologist relative or technologist same sample for the insurance purpose they are doing testing here, what the confidentiality, what the declaration they are doing. So from there you can understand that how much they are knowing the ethics. Confidentiality of patient informations. Yes, Shane, if you get a direct phone call from your externally, can you tell me that this patient is my patient? What is the result? Can you share the information? So this is the way that you can do the audit of this part. This A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then it will be clear to you. Yes, they know, they have been trained. they are fit for that, or they need they have got the adequate training, or their training further training is required. So you can interview and you can observe, you can ask for demonstrations. So this is the way you can do the audit of this. 1 minute. Dear participants, are you understanding my language, my pronunciation, my voice? Is there any difficulties? Is there any difficulties if you do not interact?
Yeah.
I am not able to.
Sure. If you don't mind, please type something, some feedback, so that will really motivate him. I think the comments are good, so no problem. I think it's going good. Yeah.
It's going good. Okay. Next is you see the 5.1.6 recommended competence assessment. Competence assessment means that the two way you can see the competence. One is you can ask the demonstration of the work, particularly you can ask for technologists that performing any work or performing any kind of duties. It may be the test procedures, it may be imaging procedure, it may be the other managerial works based on the job descriptions. You can ask for demonstration. So once it is done, when they are giving demo, you also go for the record, how they are doing exactly the formally competency assessment done. Competency assessment basically, so this is the way. If you see the 5.1.6 clause, 5.1.6 A, B, C, D, E, F, these are the requirement of the clause, that how you will do the competency assessment. Now what you can do, you can ask for the documentation that all the personal companies, how the companies is assessed. There will be a formal documentation. So you can ask for formal documentation. They can show how you can ask the question, how do you assess the competence of the staff? Who can say this particular for this you need to assess your lab director, because if you ask the technician, well, they will not they cannot say you. This is not the right area where you can ask. You have to ask the lab director that how the competence is assessed. The lab director will reply you that this is the way A, B, C, D, F we are doing the competence assessment. So when you are interviewing the audit procedures, you have to go both the way. Which question and which information you can get from technician, which information you can get from your lab director, or maybe other managerial persons. So that based on that you have to ask the question. A competence assessment, only the lab director can tell you. So lab data can show you some of the record. This is the competence assessment you have done. No, you can see the how the competence assessment done. Maybe the records. The record must reflect the A, B, C, D, E, F, because you have to comply the standard ISO 15189. ISO 15189 A, B, C, D, E, F. This is a guideline given. One is the direct observation of the routine work process and procedures. B, direct observation of equipment maintenance and check. C, monitoring the recording and reporting of examination result. D, review of work records. E, assessment of problem solving skill. F, examination of specially provided samples such as previously examined sample, interlaboratory MI-CAP comparison, and split sample. So this is the ISO 15189 requirement. So if the laboratory director want to show you the company's assessment record, he or she has to show based on this ABCD. He or she can have more, the more tools and technique for competence assessment, because more HR tools, more HR techniques available in the market. But we have to be very careful that okay, you can follow the more other techniques, but at least minimum this ABCDEF is followed. So you can see that you can interview the lab director. You say, can you show me your competence assessment? How do you assess the competence of the staff? Then lab director will show you this ABCDF data, which you verify whether it's complying or not. And it may be sometimes it's depending on being an auditor, you have to be very logical, very reasonable. That you should not ask any, you have to see which is applicable and which is not applicable. Because because auditor should not feel that you are not about the standard. You do not know logic. You do not know the practical scenario. So your question must be very logical, very reasonable, very practicable. Logical, reasonable, practicable, so that they can understand. Yes, you are knowledgeable. Like a lab supervisor. Lab supervisor maybe not involve direct testings. Direct or not doing testing. So you cannot get his work competence by testing work. Because he or she is monitoring the work. So here basically that you can see the record of supervisions of the staffs. Okay. So that can be reviewed by you. Some of the things the like assessment of problem solving skill. Assessment of problem solving skill is basically in a particular scenario. You cannot get a direct evidence. In a day, suddenly there is a reagent shortage. Maybe you have a somehow you are getting the dengue or malaria test requisitions. Now, like nowadays, COVID testing have a high requirement. It's a commodity load. So similarly, maybe that you are not prepared for that load, and you are lacking the kit. That how the situation is managed. So maybe in a particular day, the lack of technology spaces is very few. So how the situation, how the workload is managed. So this is the problem solving scheme that can be by you can ask the laborator how this is assessed by you. So he'll start talking about that I have seen these technologists, they have managed this scenario like this. Based on that, I have given the marking of this. So this is a way you can interview or you can get the idea. Review of staff performance. What is the staff performance review? Staff performance, see, what is the competence? What is the staff performance? It is called the performance appraisal, isn't it? The performance appraisal, there are a lot of HR tools and techniques, because based on the performance appraisal, their salary increment, bonus, and other benefits, maybe the promotion is depending on that. So this you can ask, you can talk to the HR department, either HR department or lab director. You can ask the questions. How the staff performance appraisal appraised. Then your HR or lab data will show the procedures or show the records of that. So from there you can get an idea. Yes, staff performance appraisal is proper procedure is done, and every staff appraisal is maintained. If it's not maintained, then it is a non-compliance. If it's maintained, it's a compliance. So or you have to see like performance appraisal, very much you have to be very careful that you should have a basic knowledge of the performance appraisal. If you want to verify the audit of the performance appraisal, because you have to consider the natural justice. Like in performance appraisal, the one thing is the natural justice. There should not be injustice, but the appraisal should not be followed in such a way can we say that it is an injustice made with the technicians or staffs. Okay, so natural justice should in the tools and technique which is be applicable. That is follow the natural justice techniques. So that you should know that you can assess that how the performance appraisal looks. Like a technique, your duty hours is 8 hours. Okay, and your performance appraisal is done. That how much extra work is done by you. Maybe 10 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours you're there. So that will not be natural justice. Your natural justice performance appraisal maybe in a particular problem day, in a community load, maybe you have done maybe some extra times, but it is not a natural justice for the performance appraisals. Okay, so this is the way you have to look at on the staff performance review, how the tools and techniques are used there. Next, continuing education and professional development. Continuing education and professional development means You're basically CME or and the CE. So we have to this also you cannot interview the direct technicians. First, you have to interview the lab directors, because the lab director is responsible for the planning of the continual education and CME programs. So lab director will talk about what is the plan of your continual education, what are the other education training imparted. So based on that, you can see the records. But see, every case, whenever you are verifying the training, you have to think that how they are assessing the effectiveness of training. I have conducted training program on the sample collection, and I found that there is a lot of hemolyzed samples. Is coming in the receiving with my lab. It means that phlebotomist training on the sample collection technique is not good, is not effective. So this will indicate the hemolyzed samples, increase of number of hemolyzed samples means the phlebotomists are not trained properly. So, and the training is not effective. Personal records. Personal records means what is the requirement of the standard? Standard requirement is that you should have a personal records for each laboratory staff, each imaging staff. So there should be file for them. Clear. So you can ask for the personal records. In the personal records, like A, education and professional qualification, B, copy of certificate or license, C, previous work experience, D, job description, E, introduction of new staff, F, training of current jobs, G, competency assessment, H, records of continuing education, I, review of staff performance, J, reports of accident, K, immunization status. So you see A to K. What you see? The 5.1.9 A to K is the requirement of the ISO 15109. So when you are assessing the personal file, personal records, you ask for the staff file, and you see that this A to K, all the information is there or not. You have the checklist. You know the A to K is a requirement. So when you are look at your personal files, you see the AB whether A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K up to K, like immunization status. You can verify whether hepatitis B vaccinations, common vaccine which we give as a prophylaxis to every staff. So you can see the vaccination card record in the personal file. So you can look at their qualification certificate, their license, their job description. So like A to K, all the point if you can verify. So this will enable you the each staff personal file is maintained. So as per ISO 15109, 5.1.9 is compliance. If you find any now how many, say in a laboratory or imaging center cab, maybe your 50 persons are working, 50 number of persons is working. So 50% file is not possible for you to see. What you'll do, you can take a five file sample size. You can take 10% file. You can take the 5%. 10% is the 5 number file. You can have one senior technologist, one junior technologist, one lab director, one supervisor, like this on report typist. So you can take like this sample for observing whether these personal records are maintained or not. Okay, so like this you can do the audit of these 5.1.9 personal records. So this is all about the 5.1. I hope I'm able to explain you the 5.1, what to do audit with the 5.1 clause. Any doubt? Any question in the 5.1? Then I can proceed 5.2. No doubt?
I think no questions. Yeah, no questions. So let us continue.
Okay.
And yeah, I think we will give some time for Q&A. I think before we stop for lunch, because now it's going to be 12. Maybe I would request you continue until like 12:20, then minutes for Q&A. Then we stop for lunch. Then we continue after lunch break. Is that okay?
Okay. Okay. Sure. Another 15 minutes.
Yeah, another 15-20 minutes. Yes.
Okay. 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 So 5.1 is clear. The how to do audit of, how to do the audit of the 5.1. Now 5.2, accommodation and environment conditions. 5.2. So how we'll do the audit of the 5.2? First, we have to understand the requirement, and then how to assess. So what is the requirement? The standards: space to ensure the quality, safety, and efficacy of the services provided to the users, and the health and safety of the laboratory, MI care personnel, patient, and visitors. So first thing is that you have to see the lab layout. Huh? So lab layout. How the lab layout? I mean how the gangway in the labs. Whether there is adequate space for the sample collections, there will additional space for the front office, additional space for the patient waiting area, waiting area for the front office billing, waiting area for the collection, waiting area for the report delivery, and the lab also. Whether you have to be very careful that how the lab layout. See, there cannot be any guide. Minimum guideline can be set, but maximum cannot say. Minimum space, a local regulatory body can say, okay, minimum 200 square feet space, minimum 300 square feet space is required, but cannot say that this is the space to be maintained. Because nowadays the technology what you are using, based on that the your space is required. If you are using a semi-auto, and if you are using the Cobas Indica machines, so you know Cobas Indica is a very big machines, and you are using a maybe Hitachi 911 is very small equipment, or maybe semi-auto of Mark is very small tabletop equipment. Like, so it's depending on what technology you using. Like it is like a coronavirus, like COVID-19. COVID-19, you see the technology is very different technology. Like you can go for artificials in the common artificial basis. There is a minimum 300 square feet space is required. Your three, in the 3 rooms is required. But if you go for TrueNet like technology, TrueNet technology may not be required that much of space because it's very portable equipment. Portable equipment, only the sample processing for a biosafety cabinet, and other you can do the processing. So depending on even the Cobas also introduced for the corona testing is in that case the big size machines. So depending on what technology you're using, but what you have to consider very carefully for when you are doing the accommodation audit, you do very carefully that when a person in the lab, particularly lab, a person is working, that he or she will stop his work when another person will pass. This is one. Once, I mean, the gangway should be very clear between the machines, between the space. The gangway will be very clear. Another things you have to be very careful in the accommodation condition. See, nowadays it is not possible that if the machine is breakdown, I cannot shift the machine from their lab to other places. I cannot shift. So you have to create a provision that when the technologist, the service engineer will come, service engineer can repair the machine just can open the lead, can keep the lead beside there, and can maintain it, and can get the all 360. Best thing is the 360 degree access. 360 degree access of the machine is very much required. If you do not give the access of the 360 degree, then it is not possible for sometimes the maintenance. There is a difficulty. So you have to see the space adequacy. The first things. Now, whether the space adequacy properly or not. Like in your laboratory room. Laboratory room, you're doing the audit. Laboratory room, you're doing audit. What you look at? The space adequacy. Space adequacy means whether there is seating arrangement for a patient, and because a patient may be accompanied by a guardian or maybe interpreter. Maybe for my foreign patient accompanied with your interpreter. So both the my two chairs, at least two chairs will be there, and there are the if there is a multiple phlebotomy room, there will be I mean the privacy, so that at a time maybe sample, so everybody is maintaining the privacy. What purpose they are visiting? So you have to see the adequacy of the space. This is the basic observation. There is no requirement. These are the size is required. But what your eye, you have two eyes. What they can speak, what your reasoning speaking of the about the space, whether this space is adequate or not. But you have to consider the fact which I told you. Another things can be, you have to be very careful. The surrounding of your lab. Surrounding of the lab means that which factors can affect. Like maybe there is no high tension line above the overhead lines, electricity overhead lines not on the labs. Maybe in Singapore, you do not have the overhead, maybe all the underground lines. But in certain scenario, if there is any kind of the overhead is there, then it may be the electromagnetic interference. There should not be electromagnetic interference on the equipment. Maybe which is common that is basically maybe the highway track beside the lab. Highway track in the lab, maybe when the transport is moving, there will be vibrations. If you have a balance, it will vibrate. But it is not recommending that you cannot maintain lab. Yes, you can have a lab, but you have to give a shock absorber so that in case of your higher traffic is moving, your balance is not moving, equipment is not moving. That kind of shock absorber should be there. So this kind of you have to verify. Okay. Now, what is standard? Similar provision shall be made for primary sample collection and examination at site than the laboratory premises. For example, point of care testing under the management of the laboratory. See, POCT. If you are doing the POCT testing like blood gas, you are doing blood gas is your POCT. So what you are doing? The blood gas. So if you are maintaining the privacy of the sample collection in your phlebotomy room, so if you are going for the POCT, same privacy to maintain. I mean, there will be curtain will be there. There will be curtain. There will be a similar system will be there. So this is the requirement. You can ask, especially this is applicable for the hospital-based laboratory. The laboratory is attached with the hospital. In that case, they are doing the POCT testings. The 5.2.2, the laboratory MI cap office facilities. The laboratory MI cap shall provide an environment suitable associated office facilities, include restricted access in the examination area. Yes, restricted access. You have to see that laboratories entry is restricted. That there are many technologies available. You can have a card swipe. If you do not have card swipe facility, okay, it is under locks, so that no, there is clearly mentioned that restriction signage is there. Other than the laboratory authorized person cannot get entry. So these are the signages also can help you to understand that this is imposed. Restriction is imposed because in your lab there are a lot of medical information are there. There are a lot of samples are there, so there should not be any unauthorized access. So this audit you can do. I mean, that's just visually. Visually you can do audit that how the accommodation conditions are there, how the patient data is protected, how the password is protected, how the sample is stored, how the safeguarded to direct supervisions. So this all you can visually observe. Like your MI cap, but I mean the medical imaging cap shall ensure adequate space for patient's reception, changing room. Like for imaging, what you look at the change room. Yes, for patient for a radiology procedure, for CT scan, for X-ray, yeah, there is a patient change room was given there. equipment, workbenches is there, patient preparation workbenches are there, equipment and storage of volatile and inflammatory reagents and biohazard materials are there. Radiation safety aspects shall be taken care of as per the requirement of the regulatory agency. There are 6 gauge mark line for your MRI machines, 6 gauge. So the minimum distance, like very much important, like you have a CT scan room, and beside the CT scan, you have a USG facilities. So that is non-compliance, because pregnant women can travel. Pregnant women can travel with the radiation area. So you have to, when you are installing your USG equipment, ultrasonogram, you have to make it separate. You have to make it separate. That USG is not USG is separate for the radiation area. Otherwise, pregnant women can be affected. So these are the things you have to look at in the accuracy conditions. Not only that, you have to see in the USG, especially the patient need to wait they need the toilet. So toilet is attached with the USG or very nearby with the toilet, so that they can use it. So these are the facilities for the imaging you need to check. Next, regular power and alternate power source. Regular, see, you have a regular power, regular electricity, and in case of power failure, you have a UPS backup, because your lab, your imaging, that will stop when a particular process is going on. So you cannot, there shouldn't be any interruption. So you have to see that all the equipments are adequately covered up with the uninterrupted power supply. You have to verify the less noise formations, water line almost in all testing area, facility for disposal of liquid and solid waste, drainage system is there, pre-treatment facility and monitoring temperature condition as required. The laboratory MI caps shall provide an environment suitable associated with office facilities, include communication systems within the laboratory. MI cap are appropriate or intercom facilities, safety facilities and devices are provided and the function is regularly verified. But see, this is part of the accommodation condition also. Like in histopathology rooms, if we are in the histopathology, what we look at accommodation condition, what we do, we are doing the grossing. So if you are doing the grossing, there will be you are using the formaldehyde, formalin vapor will be there. So there must be some exhaust systems, so that you can evaporate, you can take the exhaust all the formalin vapors, or if there is your device for monitoring the level of formalin in the air. So this is part of the accommodation condition. Like biosafety cabinet, like in microbiology rooms. Microbiology, what is that? One is your chances of one is media contaminations, one media contamination, and one is your contamination, your safety. Your safety means is coming the biological safety cabinet. Class 2 level biosafety cabinet is required. So whether in the microbiology room they provided the biosafety cabinet to protect from the contamination for the culture samples, or laminar flow which will not contaminate the samples. So these are the facilities. These are the facilities you have to verify, and the people are using the safety goggles and other devices they are using. That is to check even the safety shower, as I told you. You have to verify the safety shower is there or not. In case of any chemical splash, sample splash on the skin or eye, so that they can take the safety shower bath. Storage facilities also part of the accommodation condition. Adequate storage facilities for integrity of sample materials, documents, equipment, reagents, consumable records. Refrigerator and freezer 2 to 8 degree, -20 degree. Clinical samples and materials used in the examination process shall be stored in a manner to prevent cross contamination. So you have to see that how in the accommodation condition, you are storing reagent, you are storing sample. So in the audit, when you are doing inter-audit, you have to verify how the sample is segregated. How the one is the sample is not done testing, testing is done, sample is ready for disposals. So these are 3 stages of sample. Whether these 3 stages is marked, whether your accommodations either in the refrigerator or in the on the nearby you have a proper arrangement, or your reagent and sample is not stored in same places. Reagent stored in separately, or sample is stored separately. So these are the separation should be there. Your storage of, I mean, the like histopathology room, chemical pathology room, the many chemicals that you're using, staining you are using. So it may be like various acids also used. So this kind of chemicals can be dangerous for you. It is called the hazardous materials. So you have to see the MSDS, material safety data sheet, how they are stored. Even the ergonomics in the accommodation condition, one of the important points is ergonomics. Ergonomics means that the height of the table, height of the chair, height of the your storage rack, it should not be very accessible. So you should not feel the like professional disease, like many of we are suffering from a spondylosis, for our back pain, knee pain, neck pain. Why? Because of my working environment is not ergonomics free. If our working environment is properly ergonomics maintained, then you will not feel the back pain, you will not feel the knee pain, or you will not feel the neck pain. Because these are the pain coming for because of the height of your chair, height of the table, where it is stored. So we have to consider all this when you are doing the audit of your accommodations. Staff facilities is part of that things. Is a requirement of standards. What is the standard requirement? There shall be adequate access to washrooms, to a supply of drinking water, and to facilities for storage of personal protective equipment and clothing. So staff change room, almirah, cabinet, washroom, and drinking water. So when you are doing the audit, you have to verify whether the staff facilities adequately given or not. Is as per ISO 15180 requirement. The staff is given change room, staff is given the key, locker, almirah, proper storage, washrooms, and drinking water. So this you can verify. Patient sample collection facilities I have explained you. In the patient sample collection, during the collection, there will be wide arm chair will be there. There will be two sitting arrangement. Already explained you. MI caps shall ensure that hygienic, dedicated, and clearly marked area for reception, patient waiting area. Already explained you. Facility 5.2.6 facility maintenance and environment condition. See, most of the machines which are using in our laboratory and imaging, it is basically we have to maintain temperature and humidity both to function the machine. What is the temperature? 24 degrees. Most of the cases we have to maintain the temperature 24 degrees. So you have to be careful that how the temperature is monitored, how the humidity is monitored. Singapore, like country where the very hot country, so their temperature to be definitely to be monitored for good maintenance of your equipment. These are I have already explained you. Formalin histopathology explained you. You have to see the workflow logistics. Very much important. Workflow logistics means that your from sample collection to lab, it should be very walkable distance, very short distance, so that even one facility in your sequence of work, sample collection, centrifugation, sample receiving, testings, reporting, these logical flow will be in such a way that easily it can be moved. So workflow logistics you need to verify. It should not be very complicated. If it is complicated, there is a possibility of sample loss, data loss. A sample can be spilled, fall down. Anything can happen. So you have to see the logical workflow systems. This I already explained. Like cross contamination. Cross contamination means like if you're working in the microbiology, mycology, like I told you, like COVID. For COVID, you have to COVID testing. There is a special space requirement. At least a 300 square feet space is required. 3 room required. And like your mycology, you're like TB culture. You are doing tuberculosis culture job. TB culture, you have to make it separate room for that, and you should have a separate exhaust for that, so that you can burn the viruses. All should be quiet. Laboratory should have a very quiet environment. The MI caps shall have adequate lighting, power plugs, and uninterrupted power supply. Use of exposed cables. See, you have to see when you are all our visual audit. How the electrical installation, electrical wearing. There should be loose wires hanging here and there. That is also the not very good for environment. That is a cause of safety. So that you have to check it. The use of exposed cables should be kept for minimum. The MI caps ensure the adequate uninterrupted power supply. I've already explained. All computers, peripheral equipment, and communication devices shall be supported in such a way the service is not likely to interpret it. I've already explained you all this. X-ray and fluoroscopy. MI caps shall clearly demarcated area for the processing, developing the radiography film apart from the X-ray machine room, scanning room, changing area, control room, and reporting area. MI caps shall ensure the vibration-free and flat surface statures and the other managed arrangement to obtain the radiography images with non-repeated radiation exposure to the patient. CT and MRI separate, scanning unit, control room separately, control reporting equipment rooms, patient changing areas separately, shower waiting areas, access to patient amenities, and patient preparation and monitoring if required, support areas including bays of linen and hand washing and utility. MRI procedures must take into consideration potential interaction of the magnetic field with ferromagnetic objects of the environment of the scanner. Consideration must be given to the potential hazard posed by this object implanted within the patient. So we have to be very careful. MRI, whether any pacemakers are there, whether any metal bearing by the by patient, so you have to remove all the metal bearings. Pacemaker, or you have to verify whether the pacemaker is a MRI proof pacemaker or not. So all there should be a questionnaire checklist. Is part of the accommodation, but when you are going for audit, you have to verify that you have that how you can ask the technicians or how you are ensuring that these are the preparation are maintained by patient, so that their checklist point will they are checking one by one, tick 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 tick. So this checklist for the patient preparation is a part of your patient receiving. 5 gauge lines, as I told you, 5 gauge lines for the MRI. That is safe distance is marking there. Like your radiology, other than 5 gauge line, you see D, this point D, A, B, C, D, detection of helium boil off, oxygen depletions. In case of helium gas leak, boil off, so you can identify that. So these are the facilities should be there. Communication with the patient during examinations. You can talk to the patient, because when you are in the control room, how do you communicate with the patient? The patient can be communicated easily. That facility. All shipment, including the patient transfer trolley in the MRI imaging facility, shall be MRI compatible. That you have to verify. The trolley wheelchair which you are using for the patient, that must be a MRI compatible. Quenchable protocol is in case of emergency. Quenching ultrasound and color Doppler MI cap shall ensure that the provision of the PC-PNDT Act are complied. PNDT Act, your local guidelines. PET scanning room, control reporting and computer model equipment, patient changing area separately, anesthesia arrangement wherever necessary. Example, pediatric. See, you have to sometimes what is required in the MRI, CT scan. Sometimes patient to be given the anesthesia. Okay, so there should be separate room for that or space for that. Either you are giving the anesthesia in the MRI room or separately. In certain cases, maybe the patient stable. I mean you have a queue of the patient. Okay, so if the one patient, like what is the common thing for the CT scan? The patient feel the vomitings. After CT scan, many patients feel the vomit. So for that, patient is stable. So you have to transfer if the patient feel the discomfort, you have to stable the patient. You have to transfer the patient in a separate in a cooling room. So you should have a in between a room where the patient can wait and patient can take a rest, and then you can leave you can discharge the patient. Patient needs a facility, waiting area separately, radio tracer handling and preparation room, femodal laminar flow where these are the guidelines I have taken from the Singapore guideline. You can go through the Singapore guideline for imaging. You get it same things there. Disabled patient. These are very much important that you should have. You have to complain. You have to consider that disabled patient can be accommodated. Your washrooms should be the disabled toilet free, compatible. Like this kind of toilet washrooms is very much required so that the disabled patient can be used, can use the toilet for their safety. The ramp in case of the, if you have the building of the stairs, you should have the ramp also for trolley or wheelchair movement. So this is all about the 5.2. Okay, so now we can have a break for 30 minutes. Hello.
Yes, Dr. Sambhu. Yes. So anyway, yes. Thanks for your sharing in this morning session. I am sure that all participants would have enjoyed this. Yeah, please let me know if you have any questions
Yes, you can
for
chat box.
Dr. Sambhu. He can try to answer. If not, we will break for lunch and we will get back around 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. So it's like a 40 minutes. So have a good lunch. Also some stretching your bodies to keep you awake for the afternoon session. And I just want to share with you my thought, because we will try to run some quick like a online quiz at the end of the training. This is something just came to my mind, so I'll try my best to do this through Kahoot. So it will be a fun game, so no need to worry about it. There is nothing like pass or fail. So just to have some fun and catch some of the key things to take home message from this training. So I'll do that. Okay. So I think, yeah. So let's break for lunch and then we'll get back to the afternoon session by 1 p.m. And you don't need to, because if it is your laptop, you can just leave it as it is. No need to log out. If you think that you want to log out and log in again, also fine, no problem. Okay.
Okay.
So enjoy your lunch. Dr. Sambhu, so
yes.
Also please go ahead with your
breakfast
lunch now.
Right.
Yeah, so let's come back 1 p.m. So which will be 10:30 for you.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Welcome. Bye.